is thick fog, and I mean dense. Oh, well that was unexpected. Again, all attitude with that tail, look, you see? Hello, good morning, and welcome back to On The Hook. Right, well, we could be anywhere today, couldn't we? Believe it or not, we are on the south coast of Cornwall, but it is thick fog, and I mean dense. We've got less than 100 metres of visibility in any direction. The plan today was to go and put the anchor down and to try and find some rays and some bullhuss, but the first problem we've got is this fog. Whenever you're out in thick fog like this, you just have to be extra vigilant. Now, I'd like to go and put my anchor down somewhere, but I am concerned that not only can I not see anybody else, but nobody can see me. So, I wouldn't like to put my anchor down where I'm in danger of someone steaming into me. We will see if this will burn off for a little bit, and then we'll go on about putting the anchor down. Yeah, I have some mackerel baits left over from a session yesterday, and I have just collected some live prawn. Just going to keep it super simple and see if we can't have some fun pulling some fish out. That's fingers crossed anyway. Right, well the fog has burnt off a little bit, as you can see, and I've just got the anchor down. We are bang on slack water low now. That means that the tide is right at the bottom of the low, and it's going to start flooding in. So any minute it's going to start flooding in that direction, so we'll have wind and tide together. And for now, all I've done is I've just dropped a couple of baits out. I've just dropped a live prawn down on this rig. It's just hit the bottom, and I've a little mackerel bit up straight away. Oh. Well, that was unexpected. Yeah, all I've got on here is I have a single live prawn on a rolling lead. I just dropped it down because I thought, oh yeah, we've got about maybe 15 minutes until the tide decides what it wants to do. When the tide is at the bottom of the low or the top of the high, you get what's called slack water, which means that the tide isn't going anywhere. So usually that means that you swing around a little bit at anchor. As you can see, we haven't got a breath of wind today. And it feels like I might have found a ray. Yep, a male thornback ray. Whoa. There we go. Managed to get himself all wrapped up in the line. I will show you in a second why they call it a thornback ray. Thornback ray or thornback skate. Right. I don't know if you can see in there, but inside that little mouth is your prawn. Just a single live prawn. Now, male rays are terrible for doing this. You see what he's doing with that tail? He's trying to swing it round and hit me. And if you can see on the back of it, it is covered in thorns. Got thorns all up on his back. Some of them even have thorns on their bellies. And they have really thorny cheeks. Just here. I have that ray down in that tub of water there, just recovering. When it's calmed down a little bit, I'll get the hook out and I'll just quickly talk you through the rig. Now, all it was a 3/0 specimen extra on a length of about 2.5 feet, and I end all my traces in a little barrel swivel so that I can quickly disconnect them. and I just took one of the live prawns, one of these little live shrimps, and hooked it from the tail up the hook like this. So it sits perfectly on the hook like that. See? There isn't much that doesn't like eating a live prawn. I've caught probably 15 different species on prawns. Prawns or shrimps. And all I've got there is I've just got a little locked in lead. Now this works twofold. It works like a bolt rig, like a self-hooking rig, being that it'll slide through and then hit and hook itself, and also it rolls around. Bit of a sliding ledger action, so the fish picking it up won't feel any weight, and it rolls around on the seabed. Now I'm experimenting with two different baits at the moment. I have got a frozen sand eel bait out, and I have a piece of fresh mackerel out. Just exactly the same rig, just a hook length, a shortish hook length, because there is no tide at all. If you had a really long hook length, it could be laid all slack on the bottom and a fish could pick it up and have it in its mouth before you'd even register the bite. If you've got a 4-foot hook length, it could all be sat in a heap. So when it's picked it up, it has to swim 4 feet away before it tightens the line and you register a bite. If you've only got a short hook length, it only has to swim a small distance. Got a bite. Right. With bullhuss, you need to strike hard. Bullhuss generally give like a really good bite, like that. We will get a bycatch of dogfish today. A bullhuss is a greater spotted cat shark. Got one here. And a dogfish is a lesser spotted cat shark. They're both of the same family, they live in the same areas, and they eat the same things. There you go. That is a bullhuss, a smaller one. Caught on a sand eel bait. Right, you need to be careful with them, because not only have they got nasty little teeth, but also they bring their tail around. They bring their tail around and then rub you with it, and their skin is like sandpaper. Now bullhuss and dogfish have got a nasty habit of being sick. They poop and they spew as soon as they get on the boat. So if you can, sometimes it's better to unhook them over the side, which is what I'm going to do with this one. Unclip the hook length, get the rod out of the way, and I'll unhook this bullhuss over the side. There you go. That was the hook. That was the sand eel bait. And there is the bullhuss. Now, one of the ways of distinguishing these away from dogfish is bullhuss, greater cat sharks, have these nasal flaps here. Also by the width of the head. Right. Just finished unhooking that ray. We've got a drop back bite on this white rod here. Keep an eye on that white rod for me, please. That's what's left of the prawn. like I say, 2.5 to 3 feet of hook length. That was it. Now, rays, bullhuss, especially males, are really aggressive. So when you bring them up, the best thing that I always do is I just keep them in a pail of water. All you do is you just stick them in a bucket of water and let them calm down. It's just so much easier to handle. The rays will chill right out, and all you need to do is after that just lift them out, just pop the hook out. Now these have a lot of aggression. You can see with that tail, he keeps swinging it round trying to mace me with it. You can tell this is a male by these here. These are called claspers. And he's full of attitude, isn't he? He's all angered up, and you can see on the edges of these cheeks. Now this mouth, even though it's not big teeth like you would think it's like a shark's teeth, because it is a member of the shark family, they have got crushing pads, and if they manage to get those teeth, those crushing pads onto your fingers, you know about it. They do mess them up. This is a standard size for my area for the males. We will get a quick photo of him and we'll just slip him straight back. Those eyes are just incredible, aren't they? Ready? There you go. Baiting up, all I've done is I take a fillet off the side of a mackerel and I slice it diagonally lengthways to give me long strips. Then taking your hook, start at the thinnest end and just go through, turn it over, back through, turn it over, till you have the hook filled. Then take a little tiny bit of bait elastic, and just this little tiny bit here, I'm going to lash that to the eye. Lash it to the knot, lash it to the eye of the hook. You don't have to go crazy and coat the whole bait. Just a little bit like that at the top, just to anchor it there. That just stops the bait from sliding down the hook. So there I've got bait that flaps about in the tide, I've got the hook point that's proud. That, what wouldn't want to eat that? Whilst I've got my baits fishing, I'll make up 2 or 3 spare baits on other hook lengths, so that as soon as I bring one in, I can unclip it, clip on a fresh bait and cast straight out. You can see now that the wind has picked up a bit. We do have wind and tide together, but it is yawing us around a little bit. The best thing you can do there is try and keep your baits out. So don't bring them all close together, because as you yawl around they'll just all end up in the ball. Cast one out one side, one out the other, and one straight out the back, and just leave plenty of slack line. If you keep your lines too tight, every time the boat moves around it'll drag them, and it drags them closer and closer until they're right underneath the boat, and you just end up in a big knot. Bullhuss, they are really aggressive in every in every aspect of their life. They give a really aggressive bite like this, like a really aggressive bite. Now thornback rays, they'll give like a bite and then they're nothing, and what it is they're flat and they're living about, they're moving around on the seabed, and sometimes when they find a bit they'll pounce on it and they'll manoeuvre it into their mouth. Whoa. 2 bites at once. Yeah, as I was saying, a ray, you'll get like a knock, and all it'll be doing is it'll be sitting on the bait, and then it might walk off like this one's just done. Now bullhuss, you do have to set the hook into them hard, because they have got very hard mouths, and they are terrible for giving a really big bite and then just dropping the bait. And what that is that you haven't set the hook into them properly. All you've done is you've managed to, this is another thornback ray. There you go. Another male thornback ray. I'll get him put in that bucket of water and I'll deal with that other fish, because we are getting a bite on that other rod. Yeah, those males have always got loads of aggression. That thornback is actually, it's got something stuck to it, which is something I'll talk about in a second. Yeah, bullers, their jaws are really hard, so your hooks need to be strong and they need to be sharp, and you really need to set the hook, because sometimes what they'll do is, they'll just them strong teeth and strong jaws, is they'll just hang on. You think you've hooked it, reel it in all the way to the surface, it gets to the boat, and all it does is just goes, opens its mouth like that, and the hook flies straight out. Whatever, I think that probably there, given the strong bites and now nothing, I think that's probably going to be a small bullhuss that's done that. It's picked up the bait and ragged it a little bit and then just dropped it. It'll probably only been a really small one. It's picked up the bait, shook it in its mouth, torn part of it off, and swum off with it. But yeah, this guy, again, just all with it. He's trying to get me with his tail now. Can you hear his crunching those jaws together? I'm trying to use that tail. Just see the hook there at the bottom of his mouth. Now when it's walking around on the seabed, it uses these little legs here. If you can imagine it being flat on the seabed, he's going to have my fingers if I'm not careful. Swims around using them wings, and underneath on the bottom it's got like them little legs, and it just kind of walks about on them. But here, unfortunately, if you can see, stuck onto this clasper just there, he has got a marine leech. He's got a sea leech stuck on one of his claspers. Now I'm sure that any guy there will sympathise, you don't want a leech stuck on your clasper. So I'll relieve him of that. Now you can see how thorny those cheeks are there. Got some lovely markings on him, this one. Leave him in that tub for a couple of minutes to calm down and get the hook out of him. Just a little dogfish. Unclip the old one, clip on a new one, cast it straight out. That gave a brilliant bite, but I'm suspecting dogfish now. Just a little scrappy doggy. The bigger ones, if you can't lift them out on the trace, the bigger bullhuss, if you can't lift them out on the trace, what you're better off doing is flying down and grabbing hold of their tail, because they can be a bit of a handful. See those teeth in there? Look at that big mouth. See what I mean there? That if they haven't got the bait, if you haven't got a proper hook hold, they just open that big angry mouth there, look. The bait just flies out. just angle the camera down and I'll show you the easier way of unhooking these, because they can be a bit of a hand. This one's not too bad, this one's maybe about £5. When they get up to like 10 and 12, it can be a bit of a nuisance. And the easiest way, if you take the tail, just hook it between your legs, like that. That leaves your hands free to deal with the mouth. Don't be fooled into putting your fingers in its open mouth. There's the hook and the bait. And there's the bullhuss. Bullhuss, when they move in on the baits, when they find the scent, they're just like a pack of piranhas. They just come in and savage everything. And you'll see like a really aggressive bite. And all that is there is it's just them coming in and grabbing hold of a bait and just shaking it. Quite often, they'll shake it and a bit will come off and then you'll get no more bites. So it'll look like you'll be thinking, oh great, go and lift, and all it's done is it's just shaking a bit of the bait off. Now this one here, it's been calming down for Got it in that pail of water calming down. This is it. This is it calm. Just aggression and teeth, aren't they? Now this one is a lovely colour. I like them when they're spotty like this. You sometimes get them really pale where they've been living on the sand, or sometimes when you catch one that's been living right in the rocks and the rough stuff, it can be almost black. But yeah, that for this area is still relatively small. You do get them up to like 10, 12, even up to £15. We'll give her a photo and then we'll put him back. Took it in the end. That was playing with that. Thought to myself, I'll leave that rod out because he's getting a little tiny bite. And all the time when I was tidying down, just kept like a little nick, a little knock, a little knock. Literally the last bait in the dying minutes of the session has caught the biggest ray. Another male. Again, all attitude with that tail, look, you see? The dying seconds of the session, the biggest ray. And there's the hook just in the corner of his mouth. There it is, look. You see? He's got a very dirty belly, and you can see he's been sat right on the bottom. Don't want to get my fingers too close to its mouth. This will be one of those times when I go, don't put your fingers in its mouth. Now put my fingers in its mouth. There you go. Brilliant. Coming to the end of the session now. The wind is picking up and it's going to get very, very windy soon. We've caught both target species, a bullhuss and thornback rays. I do love catching thornback rays. There's no two alike. All those markings on their backs are just like a fingerprint. Bullhuss, they can be frustrating. Some days they are really obliging. They'll just take any bait and hook themselves perfectly. And other days, I guess they just make you work that little bit harder. The rigs that I was using today were really simple. They were just running ledger rigs on a locked in lead of, what's this? Say 2 feet of 30-pound mono and ending in 3/0 specimen extras, and I was using a mixture of fresh mackerel or sandale or live prawn. All of them caught fish, but the mackerel caught most. mainly just because it's a more bloody scenty bait. The tackle that I was using was just light spinning gear, because I'm only fishing shallow at the moment. I'm only in 17 metres of water. This is an Abu Ike with a Pen Clash 2 3000, and that's a 30-pound braid on there. And the other one is a Pen Clash 2 4000 on an Abu Veritas. Just keeping it light to have a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed joining me. All the very best. See you later.